Hi guys, it's Dave here from Metal Roos. I got Brendon from Dethklok and Metalocalypse. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, thanks. We're very excited to be coming to Australia very soon.
Yeah, we're excited as well. I'll be heading to the Sydney show, but have you brought it to Australia before?
No, we have
No,
not.
I didn't think so,
We
but
haven't. It's an interesting thing because this is a show that was made for, America, and it was very domestic. It didn't. I mean, I think it played in some other places in Europe, and I
yeah,
think it played in some other places. And then I know that the DVDs came out, so I came and promoted the DVDs in Australia one time, and that's what
yeah,
gave me an inkling to bring the show back there all these years later because I thought there may be an audience over there in Australia. The truth is. We'll find out when we get there.
yeah.
Unfortunately, ticket sales are going okay, and we're adding shows. But it's all a big crazy risk on our part. But I think it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah. Well, we're happy you're taking the risk. Obviously, we're so far from where you are. It's not
Yeah,
just a quick trip. It's I
yeah,
tour
yeah,
myself, so it's big flights and all that kind of stuff. We're happy you're doing it.
absolutely. We're excited. We can. This show is so much fun for us to put on for people, and this is a very different heavy metal experience
Yeah,
because it's a visual experience and an audio experience at the same time. And if you haven't seen the videos or
I have.
how we
Yep.
did the show, okay, so you have, but you'll
Yeah,
notice that myself and Gene Hogan and Nilly Brosh and Pete Griffin don't look anything like Dethklok, but as it turns out, we sound exactly like them.
yeah,
And so you'll see us, we're almost like a pit band on stage with a gigantic movie theater size screen behind us. And
yeah,
we drop the needle and start, and we just don't stop.
yeah,
And it is a crazy, bombastic adventure for the audience.
yeah. How was it putting that together? I, I've I'm in the industry as well, and putting the kind of more elements you add, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I actually spent some time watching your live stuff and was like, holy shit! Like putting that together must be a feat.
Well, you know what? It is, but it's been the same concept the whole time, which is a real scary concept in that we kind of like drop the needle and have the whole show plotted out on one
Yep.
big timeline.
Yeah.
So we don't have a video editor or anything like that. We are we are we're daredevils. Anything could go wrong, and sometimes it does.
Yeah.
And that's part of the scary excitement that we feel when we step on that stage is that will this even go off? But ultimately, it really is like foundationally when the show was conceived, I thought how do you keep in time with picture? You probably put a click track on the thing you send, and you send that click track to the drummer's headset or my
Yep.
headset, well, in ears, and you just kind of keep your head down and make sure you're playing and make sure you're just like, playing with picture. And
Yep.
so, and if Gene Hoglan's on, we're on, and
Yeah.
he's fortunately on because
He is
he's
great.
Hoagland. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's really driving the show like crazy. He's got a
Yeah.
major responsibility. I've
Yeah.
definitely got my world is very busy. I've got vocals and guitars at the same time. I had to learn how to do all that stuff. It didn't
Yeah.
come naturally. But yeah, it really is like a laptop that we guard with our lives
Yeah.
and making sure we're just getting our sound straight on stage. But that is
Yep.
really what it is. And bringing the other thing is, part of putting the animation together is having good animation and having an editor who understands rhythm really well too, because I consider the editing of these almost like drum programming, because I
Yeah.
need my editor to know where the kicks are, where the snares are, where you go double time, where you go half time, where what you build to. It's almost like a visual. It really is trying to be a visual representation of the sound you're hearing.
Well, I
So all
guess
that stuff is a bunch of people being creative together.
yeah. I guess what you're doing is like when you put a film clip together, your editor needs to know music. It's not just
Yeah.
putting a picture, so it's similar to an editor
Yeah.
for a film clip.
And if I have an editor, I mean, I've done a lot of different kinds of things with different teams, but if I have an editor that isn't a musician or hasn't been trained in music and doesn't really understand snares and kicks and all that stuff,
Yeah.
I will lay down usually a click track in tempo and say, here's a guideline of if you want to cut on these strong beats, they're here, you
Yeah.
know? if you want to cut on the in-between beats, that's also a magical kind of thing that happens too. But there's something really satisfying about cutting hard on strong beats and coinciding with the music, you know? So I think, can every downbeat coincide with a cut? Can we build some kind of synergy between audio and visual that is happening very much live for that audience on that particular night?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Um, so creation of kind of Metalocalypse, how did that kind of come about? Obviously, we're pretty limited on time, but there's just a quick
Yeah.
rundown on how that kind of
Well,
happened.
it all kind of started as an accident. I was having a conversation. I'm always, you know, I went to music school, but I'm also a writer. I went to writing school while I was going to music school. I was like learning script writing, screenwriting, television writing while I was learning my chords and my, you know, jazz theory and everything,
Yeah,
classical theory and all that. And then I started doing stand up. I started doing all this performing stuff, and it got me into television, and television got me into writing, and writing got me into selling TV show concepts that some of them wouldn't cross the finish line. And I was getting frustrated, complaining to a friend of mine about how this project that I thought very highly of wasn't gaining traction. And he said, you know, it's crazy. Why don't you, all you talk about is heavy metal and guitar and Cannibal Corpse and all that stuff.
yeah,
Why isn't she making that show? And on stage, I just go and do sketches about heavy metal and stuff. And I said, you know, he said, why don't you make that show? And I said, I can't believe you had to tell me that. But you're right. You know, the thing that's right in front of my, like this close to
yeah,
my, I couldn't see.
yeah,
And so somebody had to, like, you know, smack me around and wake me up and say,
yeah,
do the thing you're interested in. And
yeah,
so so I put a team together, and we started kind of like saying, like, here's the concept. It's because Spinal Tap is the greatest movie about a rock band ever. We can't do what they did. All right.
yeah,
So we can't do that. So we have to have the band that's the biggest entertainment act on the planet. But it's about more about how pissed off I am at celebrityism taking away writing jobs and only making reality TV shows. So we're angry, we're pissed off, and we like heavy metal. And so we got to cram that all into the same place. It took a little while to, but not very long to develop the characters because I had these kinds of voices, some of them in my head,
yeah,
what an explosion may sound like, what Squiscar would sound like, and Toki and Murderface took a while to develop. Pickles took a little bit of time to develop, but all that stuff was just, you know, auditioning ideas,
yeah,
trying the wrong idea to find the right one. And that's
yeah,
all of writing for me is like, you know, if you don't know what to write, write something so at least you know what not to write. So audition, try hard, just keep trying to attack it from different angles, and it was all moving in the right direction. It was all kind of finding its place pretty quickly. And then building a with an animation studio like Titmouse was very helpful. We had to really kind of let them understand what this genre was. I remember we got some drawings back from the characters from the guy who designed the characters, John Schnepp. And at first, they looked like a hair metal band, and I said, no, 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 that's a good distinction because not everybody knows what heavy metal is. So I
yeah,
had to
that's
talk to
right.
people who didn't know it as well. So I had to say, okay, these guys, they haven't done laundry in about a month. They smell bad, and they can hurt you. This is
Yeah,
Dethklok. They
yeah,
may have a knife in their pocket. I'm not sure. So it's like when I saw Guns N' Roses the first time on like Grammys or something, and they were all like drunk or on heroin, and I was like, "That's the band. That's the guys I want to listen to."
yeah,
And I thought that's what these guys kind of have to like. They have to be dangerous. They haven't washed their hair in a while. They smell bad.
yeah,
That's the band we're talking about. And so we kind of sorted out who these guys were, and that's how it all started. And then the question was, can I write enough original music? The challenge I would put, you know, can I write the scripts, but can I also write the music?
yeah,
And do the voices, and that will be the ultimate playground for me. So
yeah,
that was the idea of how we got it, and through that initial idea was, okay, if we make a show, I make original music, then maybe I'll make a record, and then maybe I'll tour. And how do I tour? Well, animation,
yeah,
gorillas. How do we do it? How do we do it funnier, more bombastic, more blood, more fire, more
yeah,
nudity? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's great. Well, we're
yeah.
happy you did it. I absolutely love it myself. So
Oh,
happy you're
cool.
coming out. And I'll probably leave you with one last question, but I always kind of delve into just a little bit of gear. So,
Oh yeah, sure.
what kind of live gear are you using? Using digital rigs? I've seen you had quite a big pedal board. Is that right?
I have had a big pedal board before, but nowadays it is that quad cortex has, you know, in 2022. So what happened was in around 2019, I took on the responsibilities of the live shows.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're in Australia, and that's why we're doing Europe, and that's why we're exploring, the planet to see
Yeah.
where to play. But I also, with that comes a producer's mind, which is how can I save money? And of course, the
Yeah.
amps are something like the first thing. If I have a fly rig, what can I do? How can I plug in and play? In 2022, I knew that Dethklok was going to play here in Philadelphia in America. And I knew I was getting excited about this pedal board. I talked to the company, they helped me set it up. And and I thought this thing sounds amazing. Plus, I was experimenting with playing with lighter gauges of strings in a different tuning, and this thing had a pitch shifter that got me down to C standard, and
Yeah.
the tracking is really really good on it. So
Okay.
I was and I'm still amazed by this product, and I use it all the
That the
time.
whammy.
Yeah, the Quad Cortex.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all the Quad Cortex. In the Quad Cortex, I have a whammy
Okay.
pedal. In the Quad Cortex, I have a wah pedal and a volume pedal. So I have a very clean rig, which is basically this Quad Cortex,
Yeah.
one of those Seymour Duncan Power Stage 170s,
Yeah.
which is a power amp, and maybe a 2x12 because we don't want too much amp height on our show because we have a visual, so we want to keep our stage pretty clean. So as much direct lining as we can do to get the cleanest sound that we can to give you the most like album-like sound that you can get in a live setting. This piece of gear has been amazing. I love it. The Quad Cortex,
Yes.
Neural Audio. I mean, they've really impressed me. Maybe someone will beat it someday, but right now they are the kings. I'm telling you.
All right. Well, you'll have another interview soon, so I'll let you head off. But thanks heaps for your time, and I'll see you it's in April over here.
Yeah.
So I'll see you in Sydney.
I'll see you in Sydney. I really look forward to it. It's going to be really, really fun. I can't wait for you to see the show.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Thanks heaps for your time.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you later.
Cheers. Bye.